It was in 1979 when the first climate change meeting were set, under the name of World Climate Conference. Many countries from all around the globe sent their representatives in Geneva, Switzerland, to acknowledge the existence of higher atmospheric greenhouse concentration and how this could lead to average temperature increase. It's important to remember that, in those days, the idea of human interference with the natural gears of this planet was mainly a theoretical possibility. From a political perspective, the issue was surrounded by large uncertainties, and it wasn't backed by enough scientific evidence. During the 1980s, climate models were further improved, and the awareness of global warming raised among politicians and the public opinion. So that in 1988, the United Nations established the Environment Programme, an intergovernmental panel to bundle scientific knowledge on climate change. In the years to come, many parties agreed to start a regulation process to reduce the emissions. This led to the adoption of the Kyoto Protocol in 1997.
Climate change, with its potential to impact every corner of the world, is an issue that must be addressed by the world. The Kyoto Protocol was fatally flawed in fundamental ways. But the process used to bring nations together to discuss our joint response to climate change is an important one.
Nevertheless, governments struggled to accept the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, and some countries, like the United States and Canada, withdrew from the agreement, respectively in 2001 and 2011. Many also decided not to take part at all, like China, India, Mexico, and Brazil. For some, the Kyoto Protocol seemed nonsense.
Foundation joins me now live in London. So Canada withdrew from the treaty, saying it's meaningless without the involvement of the world's two worst polluters, China and the US. About that 2 years ago, but still many governments, many countries, many people are taking this issue seriously, Piers. And that's 2 years on from that.
Well, it's delusional nonsense, and it's founded on fraud, and these people will be called to account eventually.
To us, the nonsense was the non-participation. Even if India actually signed the Kyoto contract in 2002, the fact that some decided to withdraw because others would not be in was just an excuse. Not many governments had the courage to set limits on industrial effects on the planet. Probably they were scared of losing political support from those same parties. This way, they sacrificed the right condition of new generations for appeasement and re-election. But the responsibility of politicians in the degeneration of the global state of being is not the only topic of this video. We also want to discuss how fast the world climate system is collapsing. Humanity has the peculiar habit to send the problems away from the period in which we are living to a relative time in the future. Take for example the article of the meteorologist John Sawyer. In 1972, he wrote about the average change in temperature, predicting that we are going to maybe see something at the end of the century, so basically 30 years later. If we instead look at the work of John Holdren, used by other scientists, in 1974, we can read how the change in the climate is the less immediate threat, even if inexorable. And if we survive the other world issues, we might feel the effect of a worse temperature in 2100. Unfortunately for us, not addressing the problems doesn't make them go away on their own. It's the case of climate migration. With the change in temperature and the rise of seawater levels, every year more and more kilometers of land become inhabitable, and the people who stayed there for generations is no longer able to do that.
There are many reasons for migration, but climate change is becoming one of the main reasons.
Cómo se arruinaron los cafetales, la gente los apodó. Estos palos, ¿qué le corta a uno? Nada, no hay. No tiene nada, está vano. Mire, secando.
What's very ironic is that those who have contributed the least are the ones paying the highest prices.
Mire, como no llovió, no pegó.
It's the case of gradual desertification in Africa, especially around the Sahara Desert, which keeps advancing every year because of the terrible increase of heat. A desert which literally eats everything and makes the area unsuitable to live and to grow food. And so the people who live there are now moving. First it's going to be inside Africa itself, and then it's the rest of the world, or a greater rate of local fights and war for space. A similar thing can be said for China, where the Gobi Desert is moving with the same intention.
Known locally as the Yellow Dragon, its expansion has led to many people becoming climate refugees. Beijing fighting desertification with forestation, and in some areas there are positive results.
In the Gobi Desert, it sounds like the dunes are singing. Actually, they're advancing, pushing people out of their homes, now swallowed by the sand.
Funny enough, people who live there, or lived, are comparing this effect to what happened in the movie Interstellar, where the sand eats and kills everything in its path. They are also saying that nature left them with two choices: to stay and try to eat what is left, or to move to the cities in the search of a better environment. If you think about it, we all need a safe place to stay, but we also all need to eat, city or no city. So what do you think is going to happen when too many fields are unfit to grow what we need? And then there is India and Bangladesh and the Gulf of Calcutta, where seawater has flowed into the coast since 2017, affecting 31 million people and making the rice plantation basically wasted. All of these areas that we are talking about give food and shelter to entire populations, and they will be forced to move to survive, now and even more if the actual situation doesn't stop. But we know what you are thinking. Yes, it's bad, but this is never going to happen to me. First of all, those people are like you. They are humans like you. In a way, they are like your brothers and sisters, and they deserve to be helped, like you would. Second of all, it is happening to you. Or maybe not actually you, but to a country where everybody believes that they are not really part of the world. They don't affect it, and they are certainly not affected by it. The United States of America. Except they are wrong, very wrong. The Midwest area of the US has been experiencing major floods since March of 2019. This very year, the destruction has hit Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska within 5 months. Local forces have estimated a loss of at least $1.6 billion. So despite what some very reliable individuals are saying, climate change is a thing, and it's happening now and to all of us. We are all affected, and if not now, we will be eventually. So let's slow down a second now and think. We haven't made this video to criticize or to give up and say, is this government fault or this one? We want to send a message. We can still save this world, but we'll need the help of everybody to do that. We as the people have to change if we seek to survive, and politics have to change too. If politics does not invest in renewable energy, if the heavy industry is not regulated, and if the world's economy keeps pushing the boundaries of land usage and the slaving of society, the destruction of our beautiful and only home will never end. We'll start to fight against each other. We'll have to fight for food and space. But right now, we don't need to. We need to break this society and build up a new one, a more equal one and generous one. A society in peace. A society where we can all live together.